Well, we survived week one, albeit it wasn't easy. It was a sweat for sure. Denver really did not make watching that game enjoyable, to say the least. I mean, the theory with Cam Ward and the rookie quarterback, that worked and played out, but the Denver offense looked horrible. And once that muff punt happened, I really thought we were in big trouble. I think it was 13-12, and they were right in field goal range. But luckily, the Denver Broncos defense stepped up and sacked Cam Ward twice in a row. Otherwise, we really would have been sweating. I think the Broncos started to run the ball better after that, but we got through it. And that wasn't the only sweat. I mean, the Eagles game was a sweat too if you went on that one. So there was a few sweats in week one, but there ended up being really not that many big upsets. I think the biggest percentage knockoff was the Raiders against the Patriots. So doesn't really matter. Just survived the week one, and now we're going on to week two. Survive in advance. So we're going to head back to survivorgrid.com, and I'm going to show you a cool little feature that they have on here. So we picked Denver last week. So what you can do is scroll down to Denver and just click them, and a red line will form through them showing that you used them. So it'll cross out the rest of the games for the year. So as you continue going, you can cross out whatever team you used, keep track of it, and then make your selection easier. So we'll hit Denver right here, and we'll go to the top and take a look at the week two percentages. So right up here at the top, it looks like we got Baltimore being the heavy favorite this week. They're 11.5 point favorites against Cleveland, and I can understand why it's a really good pick this week. I mean, if you were on Baltimore last week, I feel bad for you because that was just an awful loss on Sunday Night Football to the Bills after being up two scores with however many minutes were left to go in that game. But I could see why a bounce back game against Cleveland. I mean, unless Joe Flacco really decides to go off, I don't think that one's going to be too much of a sweat. But you never know. Denver was a sweat. So next one, we got Dallas against the Giants, and the Giants looked really, really bad. And Dallas looked actually pretty good against the Eagles. So this one I'm kind of a little worried about because I feel like everyone's going to want to jump on this one, especially with this future value. Come over here. You could see the future value ratings that they place on each team. And Dallas basically has no future value, so it's a good week to use them, or so they say. But honestly, I'm a little worried about it because Schottenheimer, his first game against the Eagles, he might have showed a lot of his good plays. And as we know, the Dallas defense doesn't really look too well. So this one I could see as a get-right game for the Giants. If they're going to have a good season at all, they're going to have to win this game. So I'm a little worried about this, if I'm going to be honest with you. But if you really like to play the future value and you're into that, I'm not into that. I'm into survive this week and worry about next week. But if you like the future value play, you can go ahead and do that one. Then after that one, we got Arizona 12, almost 13%. And just a quick reminder, again, these aren't going to be the exact percentages you have in your league. This is based off Yahoo and I think a few other sources' data. So, don't always go by this. When, I think in DraftKings, the percentages were different when they appeared in the actual weekly distribution. So this is just a frame of reference of what people are thinking about doing. But Arizona, once again, against New Orleans last week, that was a close game. I mean, they kind of had it the entire way, but still just don't trust Arizona yet against Carolina. Carolina's not good, but I still don't trust that one. So the next one, we got the Rams going to Tennessee to play the Titans. If you want to play the Cam Ward theory again, you could. Rookie quarterback going against a good coach and Sean McVay, you could do that. The Rams, their offense looked a little slowish last week than I would have liked against Houston, so I'm not as comfortable taking this one because Cam Ward now has a game under his belt and he's at home this time. So that one I'm not as convinced in doing. The 49ers heading into New Orleans. I kind of do like this one a little bit. The only thing that scares me is just going into the Superdome. There's something about that place that teams just have a tough time. And the line is 3. So it does kind of worry me that Vegas is basically calling it a pick 'em because you always assume 3 points going to the home team. So that one's a little iffy, but I think if you're comfortable with San Francisco handling business there and Shanahan being able to put up a good game plan, I think you could pick that one as a safe pick. And then next you got Buffalo heading to the Jets in the Meadowlands. This one I think could go well. I think the Bills should be able to handle the Jets, although I have to say Glenn and the Jets and their offense with Justin Fields was surprisingly good last week against the Steelers. It was kind of surprising. So maybe they're going to be better off than we think. So that's why I think I'm going to avoid Buffalo this week. We can use Buffalo down the road anyway, so I'm going to avoid that one for now. The last one I think you can consider is Detroit against Chicago, but this one kind of worries me a little bit too. You can see it's only at 3.6%. Ordinary, you'd be like Detroit against Chicago. I definitely would think that would be higher for a survivor pool, but Detroit did not look good last week against Green Bay. And you start asking yourself, is that the byproduct of Detroit losing both of their coordinators? And this week they're going against one of their former coordinators in Ben Johnson. And as we know, coordinators like to beat the former head coaches of which they were under. So you got that kind of matchup there. And, that's just something I don't want to get in the mix of. So I'm going to avoid that one too. So this week, you're probably not going to like this because this is riding the public again, but I'm just going to go with Baltimore. I think it's the safest pick out there. And I know a lot of people be like, well, you're wasting the future value over here, but you got to get there. Like, why am I going to worry about what's going to happen here if I don't get there? So I'm going to go with Baltimore. I just don't see any way possible they can lose this game after the way they lost in Buffalo this past weekend. So I'm going to lock it in with Baltimore right here. If you guys like it, tail it. If you hate it, fade it. And tell me what your picks are. I mean, why do you think you're going to pick Dallas, or why do you think you're going to pick Arizona, the Rams, or San Francisco? Let me know why you're going to pick them. I'm going with the safest pick this week, and it's by far Baltimore. You don't get an 11.5-point spread too often in the NFL. You don't get double-digit spreads in the NFL. So with that, guys, like, comment, and subscribe, and hopefully we will see you next week for Week 3.